High-speed attack drones, unmanned reconnaissance systems. An expo in Taipei puts Taiwan's latest defense tech on display. The small Pacific nation of Palau is one of Taiwan's few diplomatic allies, and it says it's already at war with China. Chinese video app TikTok may finally have an American buyer after much back and forth on a US ban.
We have a deal on TikTok. I've reached a deal with China.
Plus, once a niche tea little known outside of Japan, matcha's surge in popularity is now facing a price hike as the industry struggles to keep up with demand. Hello and welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Laurel Stewart. Taipei is gearing up for one of its biggest showcases of military power and innovation, this year's Aerospace and Defense Tech Expo. On display, cutting-edge weapons made in Taiwan alongside new collaborations with international partners. Alan Liu takes us inside for a first look.
China is continuing to send military aircraft around Taiwan. Taiwan's defense ministry says it tracked more than 30 Chinese warplanes in the 24 hours up to Wednesday morning, with 26 crossing into the country's air defense identification zone. It's a daily example of Beijing's gray zone tactics aimed at wearing down Taiwan's defenses. But Taiwan isn't standing still. In recent years, it has been stepping up production and purchases of advanced weapons to counter China's growing threats. And some of those weapon systems will be on display at this year's Taipei Defense Exhibition, starting Thursday.
透过这个整个展览，我们也希望把我们军工民营整合，发挥这个军事产业的军工产业的整体合作力量这个部分啊，来做一个展现，来呈现我们有一个非常扎实的民主的产业供应链这样的一个原则。
One key element Taiwan is highlighting is its unmanned system capabilities. For example, this reconnaissance tactical wheel vehicle was developed in Taiwan. It is built for all terrains, equipped with unmanned systems, and can be armed, giving it both surveillance and attack functions.
除了征收之外，那它可以视状况，然后来打击，执行打击的任务。那当然，无人机它还可以执行这个通讯中继，也可以摇导控去控制它到底现在它要打哪里。
Another spotlight is on aerial drones. Taiwan has been working with the U.S. on drone innovation. And together, they've developed this high-speed attack drone designed to carry out joint missions more effectively.
我们为什么要找台美合作的一个最主要的关键，重点要透过这一次展览，吸引更多的厂商来共同开发这一款无人机，降低所有的成本。
Last week, China's military released a new song, set against street scenes of Taipei, to rally morale for the prospects of unification. In response to Beijing's growing mix of propaganda and military pressure, Taiwan is working to demonstrate its resolve. This week's defense exhibition is one way the country is showcasing its capabilities and its determination to defend itself. Justin Wu and Ellen Liu for TaiwanPlus.
Palau, one of Taiwan's last remaining diplomatic allies in the Pacific, is raising the alarm over Chinese pressure, a move that's prompted the US to reaffirm its support. Cadence Caranta reports.
Palau, a small island nation in the Pacific, has for years faced pressure from China. And recently, its president reportedly said the countries were, quote, already at war. Palau is of strategic importance to China. It's a key part of the second island chain, a string of islands in the Western Pacific where the U.S. is trying to curb Chinese influence. And it's one of Taiwan's few remaining diplomatic allies, despite pressure from China to cut ties with Taipei in favor of Beijing. Palauan President Serangoon Whips Jr. says China has weaponized tourism and illegally sent vessels into its waters to pressure the country. And he believes a pattern of organized crime involving Chinese nationals may be part of China's attempts to intimidate the country.
We definitely see an uptick in organized crime coming into Palau, whether it's the online gaming, operations. We've had a record number of drug busts at the airport of Chinese nationals bringing in drugs. These are all issues, I think, that help weaken us as a nation.
In a statement, Taiwan's foreign ministry condemned China's use of big money diplomacy to infiltrate Pacific Island nations and extend its influence, and said its actions threaten security and stability in the region. As Palau sounds alarm bells about China's threats, the U.S. reaffirmed its commitment to Pacific Island nations at a meeting in Papua New Guinea and in a statement highlighting plans to drive economic growth in the region, including investments in digital connectivity and undersea cables, areas Taiwan has also been putting in resources. This all comes at a time when Australia, the U.S., and other nations are competing with China for influence in the region. In recent years, several of Taiwan's former allies in the Pacific have switched diplomatic recognition to China. And reports emerged that Beijing played a part in the Solomon Islands' decision to exclude Taiwan and other partners from this year's Pacific Islands Forum. But there's also some signs of resistance. Fellow Pacific Island nation Papua New Guinea and Australia agreeing on the text of a mutual defense treaty that aims to cut Beijing's influence.
This is in the interests of Papua New Guinea and in the interests of Australia. And that is why this is a historic move forward. We, of course, cooperate all of the time across the board. What this does is formalise what I think is a common sense position resulting from our history and resulting from our geography.
China has yet to respond to WIP's statement about war, and the impact on relations with both sides is still uncertain. But it is clear that Palau and other Pacific Island nations remain an area of interest for major countries vying for power in the region. Dolphine Chen and Cadence Quaranta for TaiwanPlus.
For more on how Palau and Taiwan have maintained strong diplomatic ties in the face of increasing Chinese pressure, our news programme Taiwan Talks sat down with Cleo Pascal from the Foundation for Defence of Democracies, Raymond Song from the Prospect Foundation, and Liu Douhai from National Zhengzhi University College of International Affairs.
In April, Palauan President Tsurangul Whipps Jr. pledged unwavering support for Taiwan, vowing to maintain ties until death. It's a sentiment he has repeated over the course of his presidency. He said, "We do know that China has one goal, and that is for us to renounce Taiwan. That decision is a sovereign decision, and no country tells us who we should be friends with." I guess we kind of believe in that principle that when you're married until death do us part. Raymond, let me come to you. So, in your view, what is the basis of this very strong relationship?
Of course, the diplomatic relations between Taiwan and Palau goes a long way. So the historical roots and friendship are there. And also the tangible assistance rendered by Taiwan quite generally to the Palau is also being well received in Palau. Of course, we see that in our president, the first after his inauguration, the first overseas trip is to the Pacific Islands, and including Palau. Then the Taiwan opened up its Center for Distant Medical Center for Palau, which is essential for that population scattered around the islands. And also over the years, including agricultural, medical, healthcare, and also to tackle climate change, also about assistance in the technology to detect illegal fishings. Taiwan has done a lot to help Palau. So it's based on friendship, it's based on shared values, based on shared strategic goals, also on tangible assistance rendered by Taiwan.
What I want to add is the education is another important part, because Taiwan's semiconductor, AI, medical science, many other things. We can make a lot of contribution for Palau if the students come to Taiwan and learn quite a lot. And then, of course, tourism is another very important industry for two of us to work together.
Cleo, just bringing you back in. So we heard what the president had said in April, and he had said that China has one goal, to make Palau renounce Taiwan. Why does it want this so much?
if you don't have a Chinese embassy in a country, that gives you a layer of protection, because the Chinese embassies can operate like forward operating locations for espionage and influence operations. So Palau, because it doesn't have a Chinese embassy, that gives it a layer of protection. Also, it does have a close relationship with the U.S. And for example, there's an over-the-horizon radar installation that's being built on one of the islands. And if there is an attack on Taiwan, God forbid, then Palau would probably be hit just before that in order to be able to disable U.S. abilities to see what's going on. And that's something that's worth bearing in mind. Often, I think people in Taiwan don't understand how these countries, especially a country like Palau, they're knowingly putting their lives on the line for democracy and freedom for all of the peoples of the Pacific, including the people of Taiwan.
You can watch that full episode and other Taiwan Talks discussions on the TaiwanPlus website and YouTube. The Xiangshan Forum, a major security dialogue, has kicked off in Beijing. About 1,800 representatives from over 100 countries, including a US defense attaché, are in Beijing for the event. Last year, Washington sent a high-ranking defense official. China says the forum will showcase its military modernization and commitment to the post-World War II order. It opens amid simmering tensions in the South China Sea and reports of a purge among China's top brass. China and the Philippines are accusing each other of aggression after a clash near a disputed feature in the South China Sea. China says it's turning part of the Scarborough Shoal into a nature reserve, but the Philippines says an international court ruling shows China has no right to the island. John Van Trieste has the latest.
The China Coast Guard fires water cannons at Philippine boats Tuesday near the contested Scarborough Shoal in the South China Sea, claimed by Taiwan as well as China and the Philippines. Beijing and Manila have accused each other of aggression, with China saying a Philippine vessel rammed one of its boats, and the Philippines saying the boats China damaged were on a humanitarian mission to help fishers in the area. The conflict over the shoal goes back decades, but it's heated up in the last week as China moves to turn it into a nature reserve. Some outside China doubt Beijing's ecological motives, seeing the move instead as an attempt to cement China's People's Liberation Army, or PLA's, control over the South China Sea, a vital global trade route rich in fish and other resources.
And immediately I heard, based on the report I read, the People's Liberation Army's Navy immediately announced a live fire exercise on what's supposed to be a nature reserve.
In China's view, the presence of Philippine boats near the shoal, which it calls Huangyan Island, was a provocation. It's effectively controlled the shoal since 2012.
黄岩岛是中国的固有领土。菲律宾派多艘公务船侵闯黄岩岛领海，严重侵犯中方主权和权益，严重破坏海上和平稳定。中方依法采取必要措施，维护自身领土主权和海洋权益，无可非议。
But from the Philippine perspective, China has no right to the shoal. Though its rightful ownership has never been formally determined, an international court rejected China's claims to it in 2016. And a Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson says the collision with a Chinese ship was China's fault, not a deliberate ramming, using the Philippines' preferred name for the shoal, Bajo de Masinloc.
It's common sense. They were firing water cannons both from behind and from the front, and they were maneuvering around the vessel. It was inevitable that the vessels would hit each other. But again, it was not intentional. It was actually their lies, once again, hiding their unlawful and bullying activities in Bajo de Masinloc.
But court ruling or not, China isn't backing down on its claim to the roughly 150 square kilometers of rocks and reefs that make up the shoal, leaving the area a flashpoint in a sea riddled with claims and counterclaims, a geopolitical conundrum. Klein Wang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up after the break, where does AI fit into government? A new guidebook aims to lay out how democracies like Taiwan should use the technology.
你看到它的第一眼，你就知道它是你的狗，这是一种很奇妙的感觉。
毛小孩就是小孩啊，一样。
他们就是玩到累了，然后休息一下，然后起来再继续玩。
我发现我们的生活好像不能没有狗。
我们就说，其实他们是派来救赎我们。
快好了，快好了，最后一个了。
饲主其实都很相信我们，因为很相信我们，他对我们就会抱有很大的期望。
他本来不吃饭，经过一番努力之后，他回到他原本该有快乐的样子。哇，我超级开心！
愿景就让每一只动物都可以获得好的专科治疗服务。
你要再陪我走10年，好不好？好的话再陪你。
Pup Nation, every Monday, 8:15 p.m. on TaiwanPlus. Rediscover your passion for classical, jazz, and a cappella music with the exceptional talent of Taiwanese musicians. Resound, every Wednesday, 8:15 p.m. on TaiwanPlus.
Summer may be over, but the game goes on.
大家好，我是林金哲，就读润国小，今年准备升国一，我的国中是长安国中。大家好，我是陈其胜，今年准备升国一，我的国中是长安。
Champions never stop when the summer ends. It's a new season, new challenges, and the same passion for baseball.
假日球队没有练球的时候，去的时候就先热身，然后跳绳，跳完就跑一下步，然后跑完步就丢药球，丢完就开始打球，就不要。假日的时候没练球，然后礼拜一练球的时候就会有一点没有球感。
Now the game is rising to a new level, and we've got every swing, every victor, every story.
数学、英文就是比较简单，就是写的不会那么多。
Stay with us for more insights, only on Game On Taiwan.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. US President Donald Trump says a deal may be in place to keep TikTok running in America. While the exact terms are not yet public, it could end a years-long saga over the fate of the Chinese-owned social media app. Chris Gorin reports.
It's been a long road for the short-form video app TikTok in the United States. But after years of back and forth, President Donald Trump says an American buyer has been found for the U.S. operations of the Chinese social media platform.
We have a deal on TikTok. I've reached a deal with China. I'm going to speak to President Xi on Friday to confirm everything up. We made a very good trade deal, and I hope good for both countries, but a very different deal than they'd made in the past.
Trump's comments come after days of talks between U.S. and Chinese officials in Madrid, where a framework deal was also acknowledged by the Chinese side. Reports suggest an investor group led by U.S. tech company Oracle, along with Silver Lake and Andreessen Horowitz, could hold about 80%, with TikTok owner ByteDance retaining roughly 20%. TikTok currently already routes all its U.S. traffic through Oracle's cloud infrastructure. Trump issued an executive order for the third time on Tuesday, delaying a ban on the app for another 90 days. It's the latest chapter in a years-long saga, from when Trump first pushed to force a sale in 2020, citing national security and data concerns, contentious congressional hearings, and a Supreme Court ruling upholding a potential ban on the app. But Trump grew to like TikTok, saying it helped him win the 2024 presidential election.
We'll take a look at TikTok. You know, I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok because I won youth by 34 points. And there are those that say that TikTok had something to do with that.
But big questions remain. Will ByteDance sell its content recommendation algorithm, which is considered the most valuable part of the platform? Will the deal satisfy U.S. legal requirements? China says it will review TikTok's technology exports and intellectual property licensing, but full details of the agreement have not been officially released, and it's the fine print that may determine what lies ahead for the Chinese app. Chris Ma and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
US President Donald Trump and the First Lady arrived in the UK on Tuesday for a historic second state visit. Over the next 2 days, the couple will attend a royal banquet and military parade as British Prime Minister Keir Starmer tries to sway Trump on trade and the war in Ukraine. The two sides have already announced a major technology deal, which will see US tech firms invest $42 billion in the UK. But issues like commitment to NATO and reducing a 25% tariff on UK steel exports have yet to be worked out. Anti-Trump protesters are planning demonstrations during the visit. 3 of the US's biggest entertainment companies are taking a Chinese AI company to court, accusing it of copyright infringement. Disney, Universal Pictures and Warner Brothers Discovery have filed a lawsuit in California against Shanghai-based Minimax. They say the company's app lets users type in prompts to make AI images and videos of copyrighted characters, such as Darth Vader from Star Wars or the Minions from Despicable Me. It's the latest in a wave of lawsuits by authors, news outlets and artists over how AI firms are using their intellectual property. Taiwan is tightening export rules to safeguard national security, adding hundreds of companies to its watch list. The Economy Ministry on Tuesday said the list now covers over 10,000 firms and individuals who face extra custom checks, with about 280 new additions. Nearly 100 of those are in China and Hong Kong, including major firms in high-performance computing and quantum tech, such as Inspur Group and Zhongke Electric. The list also targets companies in Iran, Pakistan and Mexico, in line with UN sanctions and international anti-weapons laws. Key figures behind a guidebook for using AI in government are in Taipei for the release of its Chinese language version.
It has to be governed by democratic institutions. And the only way that can happen is if the democratic institutions keep up. And the example of countries like the US and Taiwan and other places incorporating these technologies into their systems is absolutely essential for the continued functioning of democracy in a world that's going to change very rapidly in the next few decades.
Marcy Harris was one of several non-profit group reps speaking at an event in Taiwan's legislature. She co-authored Guidelines for AI in Parliaments, which highlights the importance of technology in democracy and outlines principles and data management for the use of AI. Both DPP and KMT lawmakers here in Taipei say they're open to embracing the guidelines and that they're already using AI.
在国会里面运用所谓的声音复制的技术，让暂时没有办法发出声音的立法委员跟我们的行政院院长来共同做一个互相的质询跟答询哈。其实可以说是非常骄傲的，因为当初不管是韩院长或者是行政院长卓荣泰卓院长，还有议事人员呢，都非常拥抱 AI 这个创新的科技。
Taiwan last month passed an AI draft bill to lay down principles for AI development and regulation. Matcha lovers may have to resist their thirst for the famous Japanese drink. As Irene Lin reports, tea farmers in Japan and China are having a hard time meeting soaring demand, while extreme heat and tariffs drive up the price.
A bitter, rich tea drink enjoyed all year round around the world. Japanese matcha has attracted some loyal fans and creative minds in the culinary world. The traditional stone-milled green tea has been integrated into a variety of lattes, sweets, and baked goods. But now, it comes with a higher price tag. In the US, which consumes about a third of all matcha every year, some customers are feeling the pinch.
I have matcha every morning. It's actually my go-to drink. It's kind of how I start the day. What have I noticed about the pricing? It's definitely started to go up, especially if you want to maintain the quality.
Serving matcha every day, cafes and tea shops in the U.S. say the price hike has come as a shock.
So the price has skyrocketed. Yeah, for us it's more than doubled, and we weren't expecting that at all. Our matcha drinks, we sell them in the hundreds every day, and we go through many hundreds of kilograms every month or two. So it's a lot of matcha.
While matcha green tea growers may be glad to see a boom in popularity, many are struggling to meet the global demand. In Japan, crops have dwindled due to recent heat waves and aging farmers.
It's a real delight for tea producers that Japan's matcha is drawing such attention. I'm glad the world is taking an interest in our matcha, but it's been overwhelming. In the short term, almost a threat. We just can't keep up.
On top of that, the U.S. has placed a 15% tariff on Japanese goods, adding to these businesses' concerns.
It's this perfect storm or imperfect storm of tariffs, which are unrelated to the fact that we're having such a high demand and such an increase in prices already. So it's unfortunate timing, obviously. And, we have to make some hard decisions of, what pricing is going to look like. There's limits, obviously. We can't just, continue to raise prices forever.
As the supply of this delicate powder green tea drops and its price stays high, it raises the question of how much longer it will dominate people's drink orders. Patrick Chen and Irene Lin for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Before we go, let's take a look at this surrealist art collection in London. I'm Laurel Stewart. Take care and see you next time.